Hello everybody, welcome back. In the last video, I talked a bit about why I switched to Godot after using Ursina. In this video, I'd like to talk a bit about why I'm still glad I started with Ursina and why I still use Ursina for a lot of reasons. And it mostly comes down to this. When you first open Godot and you start a new project, this is what you're looking at. If you could see my hand gestures, you would see me displaying this huge open space, this 3D world that's fully blank except for grid lines. In the upper left, we have 2D scene, 3D scene, user interface. Those are all things that might make sense. Other node, and a curious beginner might click on other node and say, holy cow, look at all of these things. And then of course there's subtitles, and this is just that's a lot if you don't know what it is you're doing. We have a file system over here. I'd like to think that makes sense. Most people are used to those. There are several symbols up here. Here we can switch between 3D view, script, and asset library. Maybe you don't know, but 2D, that might cause a little more comfort, certainly for those of you who prefer to make games in 2D. At least now we're looking at a blank screen that makes sense. And on the right side we have our inspector, our node, our history, have this forward plus thing, or perhaps you have compatibility or mobile up here depending on what you did to start. But it's really hard to know where to begin with Godot. And that's one of the reasons why I always really liked Ursina. Now, it's not that you can't walk into it knowing nothing and make it do something, but I feel like there's less of an intimidation factor, because in Godot you don't really know where to begin. With Ursina, you just open up your favorite ID and you're going to do from Ursina import asterisk app equals Ursina with a capital U and app.run, just 3 little lines of code, and it's not going to do much, but at least you get the window to pop up, and that's something. So there's my little checkmark guy. I thought I could make a checkmark guy so this stuff would disappear. Oh well, I'm not going to worry about it. And it really doesn't take a lot more to get a little something on the screen. So in between my stating what the app is and telling it to run, I'm just going to make an entity. E is equal to entity, model equals box. Actually, let's do a quad. More in line with what I'm going to do in Godot. And color equals color dot red. And that's that. And now when I run 4 lines of code, I have something on the screen. And if you watch the first video in my series, you can see that it doesn't even take that much more to make the thing move around either. So it's very easy to get from nothing to something with Ursina. In Godot, you have to have a little bit more knowledge, I would say, to know how you want to get something on the screen. It's a different process. They have their similarities, of course, but it's a different process. So if I want to do what I did in that last one, what I need to do is click on other node, and where is my quad, or where is my square, or whatever you want to call it. And that's where the search menu really comes in handy. I'm actually looking for what's called a color rect. So I start typing it in, and then there it is, color rect. And it puts it up here in the upper left corner of the screen, and it defaults to white. I want it more towards the middle, so it most closely approximates what I did in Ursina. And over here where I have white, I can change this to red. So let's turn our greens and our blues all the way down. Now I have a nice red color. Wow, I hit that exactly. Good for me. I have a nice red color, and I can save the scene. And when I run the scene, I get a red box in the middle, just like I did with Ursina. So was that any more difficult? No. Some might even argue it's easier. It certainly depends on whether you are a visual person or someone who likes to work more programmatically. I grew up learning on Apple II Basic and then Q Basic, so I'm used to even numbering my lines of code, and there was no way to drag and drop your images onto a screen. So in my heart, I really like doing Ursina. In practicality, I really like doing Godot, where I can say, oh, you know what, let's just move that there, rather than having to go into the code and change the code. So that was it for today. I just wanted to show why I still really love Ursina, especially if you're a beginner. It's less intimidating. It's easier to just jump in and look at some code that might look a little familiar to you and just start experimenting and doing things. And, you know, eventually you'll move on to Godot, where all of these aspects, like, you know, in my inspector, what do all these different things mean? Where do they come from? You can learn that stuff by doing Ursina. So until next time, take it easy. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one.